Thank you for joining us here on Sports in the Mix with the crew here on the BGC Sports Network. I am Cedric Bailey, and Andrea George Carrington is in the house. What's up, Andrea?
Hey, Sad, what's going on today?
I tell you what's going on. It's Hall of Fame time.
Hall of Fame time.
We're
Yes,
gonna
sir.
we're gonna talk about a gentleman that I had a chance to speak. When you do sporting events, uh,
Hmm.
you get a chance to meet a lot of people. And
Yeah.
I brought you on board, and you and I were hanging out, and because my assignment has gotten real busy because I'm now announcing baseball, I do football, I do track, and basketball season. I'm really really busy, and so you've been able to hold it down to cover for the Mavericks for us here on BGC. But Dwain Price is our guest today. Dwain, welcome to the show, Sports in the Mix with the crew.
Thank you so much, Cedric and Andrea. I really appreciate it being on this show. What took you so long to get me on, man?
Man, it's my fault. Okay, it's my fault. Okay, but we wait on God to tell us what direction to go, and that's why you're here now because
There you go.
you just had an
Appreciate it.
exciting weekend. And Andrea, I'm going to tell you something. Dwayne and I, we both went through some ups and downs in this industry.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm
I can
saying
imagine.
we've been through some ups and downs. But as you look behind me there, you see the gold I got there, and all the other stuff is put in crates from my 40-year career. But Dwayne's got me beat by 10 years.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
Dwayne?
yeah, 51 years. I started in 1975, an internship in Beaumont, Texas. And I did three internships there and worked two summer sessions. And then after I graduated from college, at Texas Lutheran College with a degree in journalism, the Beaumont Enterprise hired me full time. But didn't even have to go fill out a resume. I was in my 30s before I filled out a resume. Said, "What do you need a resume for? You know who I am."
And the Beaumont Enterprise is a newspaper, right?
Yeah, newspaper. Yeah, newspaper in Beaumont,
Now,
Texas.
now let me ask the question: was it a morning edition or afternoon?
Actually, we when I first got hired, we had both. It was the Enterprise in the morning and the Journal in the afternoon, and then as time went on, they got rid of the afternoon paper, which was great because at that time I was throwing to a lot of games, Houston Rockets games in Houston, which is a hour and a half drive. So after the game in Houston, I would write a story for the morning paper. Then I'd drive back to the office and write a story for the afternoon paper. And, that got old quick. That was a lot of work. I was in the office a lot of times at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's amazing because Andrea, here's what happened in the newsroom. You had what they call the AP wire or UPI wire. So you had to go in there and rip and read and pull all the different reports that the association would get. And if they didn't get it, how did you get your stories, Dwayne?
They also had something called a typewriter too, which these young people they don't know what that is on a laptop and on their cell phone.
So,
But yeah,
so did
I,
you have to
I,
take a typing class?
yeah, you know what? When I was in the 10th grade, I went took a typing class, and the first day I show up, I'm in the class and I'm looking at the keyboard. There are no letters on the keyboard. So I sat down, I looked at the other desk. None of the typewriters had letters on it. So by the following Monday, I was out of that class. I said, "This is crazy. I mean, I'm trying to learn how to type. There's no letters here." So to this day, I type with two fingers. Every now and then I'll throw in a third finger, but for the most part, I type with two fingers. And I've typed almost 100,000 stories with two fingers.
Oh,
So anybody,
wow.
so typing is overrated.
Andre, anything else you want to add on that as we roll with Dwayne Price?
So you type with two fingers, and
Yes.
now where did you distribute your? Did you have to do the distribution as well of
As
of
far
the
as
stories?
the story itself,
Uh-huh.
no, no. I turned it into an editor, and they edited it and they put the headlines on it, and in some cases added a picture with it. But
Yeah.
nowadays I have to do all that myself. Do the editing, put the headline on it, and also go chase down and find a picture to go with the story. So
Yeah.
times have changed.
Now, let me ask you, you said you covered the Houston Rockets.
Yes.
So covering the Mavericks now, what's the difference between then and now as far as technology and the process that you go through now?
Well, when you had a typewriter back in the day, you would misspell some words, obviously. So they had this stuff called corrector type. It was some white stuff you put on the letter that you misspelled,
Yeah.
and then go back and then correct it, the spelling of it. I used to
Hmm.
go used to go home every night with my hands were white because you misspelling words all night long. And now you don't have to worry about that. Just hit a backspace button and just correct the spelling nowadays. So it's easier
Yeah.
today. You can get through quicker, and I do get through quicker. It was a long process back in the day.
What about
I
the
don't recommend it either.
Yeah, what about the press conferences? How were they different than were they different from what we see now today?
Yeah, when I went to college in journalism, my journalism teacher, Tim Frank, he always told us to, when you're in a press conference, when you get ready to ask a question, make sure your question is short and sweet because the other reporters in there did not come to listen to you.
Yeah.
And we only gonna have the coach or the player in that press conference for a certain amount of minutes. So if you got these long questions, now everybody's gonna be mad at you. But guess what? These kids today, they got long questions, and I'm mad at them. I want to just ask a long question one day, and they'll see how that feels. I mean, this is crazy. Keep your questions short. We didn't
Yeah.
come to hear you, the reporter. We came to hear the athletes and the coaches.
Right. How do you feel about those reporters that ask more than one question?
Well, I don't mind because my motto is you ask two in a row, and then
Okay.
you shut up and let somebody ask two or one or whatever they want to do. But if you go into three or four questions in a row, it's not about you. It's about the athlete and the coaches. So I think that's disrespectful if they try to get in three or four questions in a row. Now you
Gotcha.
may come back later if nobody else is asking questions. Okay, then you come back and get some more in, but not three in a row. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Wow,
Gotcha.
that's great. Let's go back a little bit. You said the Beaumont Gazette. So when you
Now,
was
Beaumont Enterprise, Beaumont
Beaumont
Enterprise.
Enterprise, I
Yeah.
want to get that right. The Enterprise, when you was writing for them, what everybody, we had multiple journalists in the room, or writers or so. So they would give you assignment, and Andrea, he also said an editor. So that editor would have to review your story, and sometimes they could change it, and you'd be like, I didn't say that. So did you go through that, Dwayne?
Of course. One was really, really traumatic. I almost got my butt kicked. I wrote a story on well, I'll just tell you who it is. It was Charles Haley of the Dallas Cowboys. He used to play for the San Francisco 49ers. And before I interviewed him, I did my research on him and I read three stories, and all three stories sounded alike because the only thing the writers could come up with is that he urinated on one of his teammates' cars with the
Oh God.
49ers. So when he got with the Cowboys, I said, I know this guy did something else good and probably did something good in his life. So when I interviewed him one on one, I found some good that he did. But unfortunately, one of the editors edited my story and put the urination deal right back in the story, and it made me feel bad. But I didn't
Wow.
know it at the time. I didn't know it at the time. So the story comes out on the day of a Dallas Cowboys game that I'm reporting on. So I go in the locker room. I hadn't seen the story now. Charles Haley had started the story. He came out of the shower, got dressed, and he's all in my face, cussing me, spit flying out. I'm thinking maybe he got my story mixed up with. I was working at the Fort Worth Star Telegram at that time, so I'm thinking he got my story mixed up with somebody who perhaps wrote a story on him with the Dallas Morning News. So when I went back up to the press box and found the Star Telegram, I could not believe the story. I said, "This is not my story." And then one of the editors, who I found out, well, it's another story anyway. I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, he edited all that crazy stuff in there. And I went to that editor. I said, you need to come out to the Cowboys practice facility and tell Charles Haley that you edit all this stuff in there. I had nothing to do with it. And he never did it. So to this day, Charles Haley still think I double crossed him and wrote that story on it.
And you know what's so crazy about that, Dwayne? They'll come back and say, "Well, we can come back and follow up and do another story or do a what do they call that word? It's like a retract or something, Dwayne. To come back to follow up from that story. People ain't gonna remember what you said on this time. They're gonna remember what you said the first time,
The
even
first
though
time around.
you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, the first time around, and it was just unfortunate because when they heavily edit your stories like that, they're supposed to tell you, the journalist, that what they did and give you a chance to look at it before it get printed. And the editor never did that. So shame on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too bad. That's too bad.
Uh, in a time like this, Dwayne, like we're dealing with right now, you know, I'm pretty sure there have been some moments that you find yourself maybe as one of the only African American or just of a few of African American writers they're in there. I mean, can you talk a little about that a little bit? Because, in this time period, it's so hard now because of the competition of the phones and online stories and everything. Used to be the paper would be the reliable source
Right.
that you would get, and it was news jump right, that come out the next day that people would like to have on their desk at home. But now the whole game has changed, Dwayne.
Yeah, I was the first black sports writer that was worked at the Beaumont Enterprise. And speaking of the game changing, some of the guys today, not necessarily black reporters, just reporters in general. And I always tell people, I really don't like press conferences because, see, I've done my homework, so I go in there and I got some questions that the other reporters may not know anything about. So now I just gave them a story, and they
Mhm.
can get it on Twitter, Facebook, and all that social media stuff before I can get it myself on there. So the person always like they got it first out there when they actually you didn't know anything about this until I revealed that question and this player answered that question. Now you got a story, but you left your house. You had no idea what you was going to write about. So that's why I don't like press conferences at all.
Yeah, because they guys be looking for a question. Oh, he
Yeah,
had a
yeah,
great question.
exactly.
I'm going to take that and I'm going to run with it.
I can't tell you how many times I turn the TV on, and when they interviewing the players, because they're only going to do a little snippet of what the players or the coach said, and I say, "Oh, that was my question." So apparently, that must have been a good question because the answer ended up on TV.
Yeah, definitely on that. But we're going to talk about your Hall of Fame experience, and we got about 2 or 3 minutes like that, and then we're going to talk about several things, and Andrea is going to be taking over and doing some things too. But when you got the word about you going into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, I want to make sure I get that right now.
Texas Black Sports Hall of Fame.
So I want to get it right. Roland Paris, is that the one who's
Yeah,
over there?
that's it. Yeah.
Do you remember when his son used to be a drummer, or what did he do for the Dallas Mavericks? Roe Jr.
Oh, Ro Parrish.
Yeah.
That's his daddy.
Yes.
The one that was where did he go work at?
He's a reporter.
Yeah, the one that was he at NBA TV or something like that.
Yes.
That's
He used
him.
to
I
be,
didn't know that was his daddy.
that was yes. That's him, the reporter. So I would see him. You know how they have the Mavericks, all the people out there. He was out there when we was there with the Mavericks. I mean, I
So if
mean,
he shows up on Channel 11 in the morning time sometime, that's the
that's
same guy?
yes.
Oh, I had no idea.
So anyway, you
I
know,
gotta tell him next time I see him. Boy, why didn't you tell me that was your daddy?
but let's talk about with Mr. Paris and the organization and the class. Who was all in your class that was got that purple jacket?
Oh, I'm gonna have to look in the program because some of these names I'm not gonna remember. But I do know C.J. Miles from Skyline High School and the Utah Jazz. He used to write about C.J. when he was in high school and all that. And there was another young lady named Laquan Stallworth. She's from my hometown, Silsbee, Texas, the car trading capital of Southeast Texas. You ever need a car, you got to come to Silsbee and get you one, man. We'll give you a good deal. And also, Lovey Smith. Lovey Smith gave my nephew, Joe Price III, his first college job when they were at the University of Illinois a few years ago. So we talked about that. That was my first time meeting him. I didn't realize he was so short. He's about 5'9". I thought he was like 6'3" or 6'4".
You talking about the football coach that was with the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, same one, Lovey Smith. Yeah,
And
that's him.
he from, was it Big Spring or Big Sandy, Texas?
Big Sandy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got inducted last night also.
Wow.
Nice young man. Nice young man. Uh, let's see who else went in. Snake LaGrange, yeah,
Oh
at
yeah.
University of Texas, Arlington. He
He,
passed away a
he
few years
passed
ago.
away. Oh,
Right.
man,
And
we just
I used to cover them. That was on my beat when I was at the Star Telegram. That's
Yeah,
one of the first jobs they gave me over there.
man, Snake didn't play. But listen, we got to hit this break. We got more. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about more of the Hall of Famer. You're listening to Sports in the Mix. Andrea George Carrington is in the house. We're talking with Dwain Price. We're going to talk more. So keep it right here because we're going to jump right in this. We got to talk about the NBA Finals that Dwain covered with Rick Carlisle and Avery Johnson. We're going to talk about all that. So stay with us. Yeah. Hey, yeah, man. Ro Parrish, man. He is a great guy. And his son, he made it. He did, yeah, on Channel 11.
Yeah, that boy good. But I had no idea that was his dad. I never did make that connection.
Yeah, he owns a lot of McDonald's, I think. That's what it is.
Exactly. That's what they talked about that last night.
He owns about 14, maybe 15 of them.
Mm-hmm.
That one on 67 Camp Wisdom, that's his store.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's a multi-millionaire, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Who does CJ Miles writes for? I know he's been doing photography for the Jazz, but who did he write?
CJ?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. He used to play for the Jazz, so he's a photographer now. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He covers when they play at home. He does a lot of photography. He did a special segment on Keontae, special photo shoot with Keontae and a behind the scene. But where was he before?
He was at Skyline High School. Oh, you're talking about what
professional
NBA team?
I
thought he started out with look up CJ Miles. I thought he started out with the Jazz. I could be wrong.
Yeah, he did. He played for the Jazz, but as far as his reporting, I
didn't know he was a reporter. You guys just told me. I had no idea he was doing that.
Yeah, so he went into the Hall of Fame for basketball.
Right, for basketball.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, he's probably once a week on the Jazz broadcast show.
I had no idea. I'm gonna have to start watching because I get their game, so I'm gonna have to start watching that broadcast.
Yeah, he commentates. Sometimes if somebody's out, he'll fill in.
Is he on there with a guy named Craig Boulderjack? Okay. Well, I know Craig very well, so I'm gonna start watching that then. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, since the 1990s, because I did a lot of stuff for the Jazz back in the 90s.
Yeah, oh, you did?
With the radio station there, not the Jazz themselves, the radio station.
Yeah.
I was on a radio show like once a week.
Wow. We're gonna put on there. All right. Well, here we go. We're gonna come on back. And here comes the second part. We're going to go 18 minutes this time. 3, 2, 1. And welcome back, Sports in the Mix. Yours truly, Cedric Bailey, Andrea George Carrington, and we're talking with the Hall of Famer, the one and only, Dwain Price. He is a writer for the Dallas Mavericks, and we got so much to ask him. And we found out that Lovie Smith, CJ Miles, and what was the young lady's name that if we need to get a car, what's her name from Silsby?
Laquan Stalwart.
I love that.
She played WNBA basketball, and she was great in college and all that great in high school. That was my first time meeting her. She's about 30 years younger than me, even though we're from the same town, 6,000 people, less than 6,000 people. I just didn't know her because she came way after me.
I got it, but you probably knew some of her family members.
I did, yeah. I know her peeps.
But there were other legends who got their jackets were there before, we did say about Snake LeGrand. We know him personally, but there were other Hall of Famers too that were there to come watch and support you guys too as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got to talk to Eugene Lockhart.
The hidden machine from Crockett.
Yeah, Eugene off the chain. You already know. Mr. Personality. And I was told when he got into the Hall of Fame, they had to come get him off the stage because he wouldn't stop talking. like the Sandman on Showtime at the Apollo. He come out there and get you. It's time to go. They say Eugene would not shut up. Yeah, he's a nice guy, though. I like him.
So when you did your speech, what did you talk about? What did you do? What did you say?
I said, I thank God, obviously, giving all honor and glory to him because he's the reason why I'm here. He's the reason why I got into the Hall of Fame. It didn't have anything to do with any man. a woman on this earth. He did that
Yes, he
for
did.
me.
Yeah.
He did that for me. And also, what was kind of cool was Ro Blackman was a part of it, a part of the program. So he got up there earlier and he said, I'm an immigrant from Panama City. And so when it was my time to get up there, I said, I'm an immigrant from Silsbee, Texas. And then, and then after Rose said he was an immigrant, he started talking another language. I have no idea what it was. Maybe it was Spanish or not.
Yeah.
So after I said I was an immigrant from Silsbee, Texas, I said uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. So I can speak the language too. So I did that, and then I thanked everybody, and it's kind of weird because I'm not used to doing stuff like that, just public speaking. So part of me it was like an out of body experience, and I don't know what I said until I went back there and looked at the video. I just everybody said they liked it. Chris Arnold said it was the best one of the night, so I don't know. I'll let them judge that.
I bet it was. You have quite your humor is something. You just you throw it out there totally unexpected. So I can only imagine what you were like. I know you were great, and I know you had them laughing.
Yes, yes, I did. I didn't write anything down because I didn't want to have my head down reading. Some people, do that. Because they said we only had a minute. So I said, I know I can talk for a minute without, reading something. But as it turned out, I think it took about 3 minutes. But the Sandman didn't come and get me, so I did okay.
Well, good deal.
Right.
Well, what was the banquet like? It was the night before, right? It was Friday night.
No, the banquet itself was the induction ceremony, and that
Okay,
was
the
yesterday.
reception.
The reception was at the African American Museum on a Friday night. That was nice too. The standing room on the crowd. Yeah.
Really?
And what that was, they had a moderator and they set us all up on the stage and all that. And a moderator went around and asked each one of us some questions and all that. It was nice, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I told you when you asked me if I was going to come, it was only for $40, and I said, "You're worth $40," and you said, "I'm worth $42."
That's right. Don't be cheating me out of my dollars.
Well, that was great. Congratulations on everything. I know I just met you being part of the Mavericks, and I get to see you in the press conference, but it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate your humor because you know you are a really funny guy. You really are, and
well,
you
well,
lighten up
thank you so much.
you
Thank you
lighten
much.
up that situation.
Well, I always found out when you add some humor into it, it makes the job go by easier. If you're all tense and all stressed out, man, not only if the job seems longer, you might have a heart attack. You're trying to be all stressed. Why are you stressing out? You should be so blessed to be stressed, unstressed, not stressed at all. Why? And don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff, Andrea. What are these
Yeah,
people doing out here? You know?
yeah,
This world is a wonderful place. I
it
got
is.
nothing to be stressed about. I'm doing something I wanted to do when I was in the third grade. This is wonderful
Wow.
to me. God done blessed me 10 times over.
Yes, he
So this
has.
was a vision. This was a vision that you had even as a child.
Right, right, right. Because writing was always easy to me. I couldn't understand why my classmate couldn't string sentences together. That was weird to me, for lack of a better word. And people always talk about their favorite book. My favorite book was the dictionary because if I'm gonna be a writer, I gotta find me some words to use, and I gotta find out what these words mean and how to spell them. Because you
Yeah,
gotta know how to spell the difference between HERE and HEAR and KNIGHT and NIGHT. Yeah, they may all sound alike, but they spell differently. And if you use it in the wrong way, that could mean a difference in you getting a job and not getting a job.
you are absolutely
When you turn
correct.
in a resume, yeah, they say, "Well, you don't know how to spell, and this company is not for you. You don't know how to spell. Come on, now.
Yeah,
That's easy there, spelling." And I
Yeah.
used to win the spelling bees a lot too in elementary school. Them girls be mad at me because I was the only boy up there winning them. They mad because back then it was almost like a girl thing to win the spelling bee. No, no, it ain't. No, I'm here.
Wow.
Well, you know what a blessing to be able to know what you wanted to do as a child and live that career your whole life, and now to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I mean, who does that? I mean, really, you think about it, you think about all the different, opportunities that people have in their life, but it may not be those opportunities that they dreamed of as a child. But that's a great honor.
Yeah, I was a journalism major, and I minored in psychology. So if the sports writing thing didn't work out, I guess I would have been a psychologist. So in other words, when you think of the two, journalism, I got into it because I used to watch these sporting events. I attend these sporting events, and I pick up the paper the next day, and there was nothing in there about the sporting event that I was at. So I say, these kids are doing some wonderful things out here on the basketball court, on the football field, and all that, and nobody knows about it except the people who was at the event. So I
Wow.
gotta find a way to do this so I can help them out, so people know what the heck they was doing. And it's the same way with had I been a psychologist, I would have been helping people out because they would have been coming to me with their problems and trying to help me. I mean, get me to help them solve their problems. So I was always a problem solver.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your journey with the Mavericks. Were you there when Don Nelson was coaching?
Yeah, I was there with Don Nelson. Yeah. I started writing about the Mavericks in 1990 when I got to Dallas. So
Okay,
yeah, I was there.
gotcha.
Yeah, I beat him here.
Okay, so you was down at Reunion Arena.
Yeah, exactly.
Was Mata, who was the coach, or Rick Adubato, who was the coach then?
When I first got in 90, I think it was Richie Adubato. Yeah,
Yeah,
they went to a bunch of them in a short period of time, like 5 or 6 of them in an 8-year span. I said, this is crazy.
so
Yeah,
you was
so
there when Hart played, Blackman played, Roy Tarpley.
yep. Roy Tarpley. Roy Tarpley was a baller, man. Man, if his career wasn't cut short, man, he would have been in the Hall of Fame. That guy was really, really good. A 7 footer. He was doing the things that Dirk was doing. Had that mid range jumper and all
Yeah.
that, and run the court and all that. He's very, very talented. Ended up going to one of his parties one time at his house. He had a house over there off Lake Louisville. And one of the things I remember, he had this pool table in the house. And you know how the pool balls are different colors? Well, the balls were crystal clear, and the colors inside the colors had his name on each one. Roy Tarpley Jr. I never forget that. Like the
Wow.
14 ball Roy Tarpley Jr. that was green and all that. I said, "Oh, this is kind of cool here." That he thought of it to put it in there that way.
Yeah,
But,
I
but
remember.
he's a nice guy though. He's a very nice guy.
Yeah, so yeah, there was a lot going on. Hey, Andre, I got to tell you this. I remember when Mark Cuban took over the team. What was it from Don Carter? Is that who it was, Dwayne?
Don Carter, yeah, we were in Denver. The Mavericks had a game in Denver when it got announced. I'll never forget that. January the 4th, 2001.
T-
Yeah.
Tell us how it went, because we didn't have no
They went,
cell phones then. They just,
well, I'll tell you how it went. Don Nelson and all that thought they was getting ready to lose their job because the team was terrible at that time. And Mark said, I'm not going to do that. I'm new to the game. I want you guys to teach me about the game of basketball and all that. So he kept them all on, to their surprise. And, one thing led to another. And the team eventually got rid of Nelson and then hired Rick Carlisle, and then they won the title.
Yeah. But what was interesting during that time period, man, Reunion Arena was the place to be. You had the big ball and everything, the train station there. And so
Right.
fans was coming. You had Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, Michael Finley, and then all
Right.
of a sudden, out the clear blue, they went and got Dennis Rodman and put him
Right.
on the team. And man, it looked like it was 4 against 5, man. But them people bought those tickets, didn't they, Dwayne?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you an interesting story about that. Dennis's first game with the Mavericks, Deion Sanders' wife at the time had a baby that morning, and Deion sitting courtside on the front row that night. And I mean, the place was rocking. It was sold out. And Dennis Rodman, I think he only lasted like 17 games, if that many. And I never forget his last game. We were in Seattle, but leading up to that game, Dennis was all about the rebounds. So he was supposed to have been coming out to switch, and when somebody set a screen, he's supposed to come out right around the top of the key, and he never would do that. And the fact that he wouldn't do that would screw up the whole defensive philosophy that the Mavericks were trying to do at the time. So Don Nelson kept telling him, Dennis, you got to stop doing that, man. And so and he kept doing it. So after the game, everything was strange. The game in Seattle, everything was strange. And what had happened was, I guess Dennis and Nelson had a conversation about him not doing it again. Anything. Anyway, long story short, it's like a 4-hour flight from Seattle back to Dallas. I landed and got a call from the office that the Mavericks had let Dennis Rodman go. I said, "Oh my goodness." So I didn't have time because now I'm landing at 4 o'clock Dallas time, so it's traffic. So, you got to get the story out real quick. So it was American Airlines flight. They got these rooms up there in the airport where you can go in there and write your story. So I had to go in there and write my story. I didn't get home till 10 o'clock that night. And they had let Dennis go. But the footnote to that, Dennis and I had already set up 2 days before he got cut from the team. I was supposed to do a story, a night out on the town with Dennis Rodman to see what his life was about. So I got saved that they let him go because that boy was wild, man. It was quite. I mean, he had a nightclub in the West End in Dallas. That's the first time I went to a nightclub in the bathroom. Men and women go to the same bathroom. I said, "What are they doing, man? This is crazy." But that was Dennis, and it stayed packed all the time. Not necessarily the bathroom. I'm talking about the nightclub.
What was the name of his club?
I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know. I know his name wasn't on it. I can't
Oh,
remember.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. If I do a Google search with Dennis Rodman, the name of it might be in, but I can't remember. But he was living in Mark Cuban's backyard. Mark Cuban has another house in his backyard, and the NBA found out about it and told him, you can't do that because you circumventing the salary cap. So they Mark had to kick Dennis out of his backyard.
Wow.
When the Mavericks office used to be on the east side of town. I know they got the facility that they got now downtown, but you remember
in Deep Ellum?
Yeah, Deep Ellum. He took an old office building and just he was creative what he did. What could you say interesting about Mark Cuban?
Well, when I remember when we went to New York for him to get his official NBA papers, and there were like 7 or 8 top officials from the NBA. They was all there in their suit and ties and all that. And Mark Cuban had on his black slacks, and he had on a jacket with the Mavericks logo on it. He didn't have no suit jacket on. He was just Mark Cuban. And I remember him saying, I say, "Mark, let's meet down here and have some dinner, after the ceremony's over." I said, "I got to write a story." And they had a sports bar downtown there. In Times Square. I can't think of the name of it because it's not around anymore. So by the time I got there, I had written my story already. I got there, and then Mark, he had already eaten, so he left probably about 30 minutes after I got there. And he had been chatting it up with some of the people there. So when he left, and the guys he was chatting up with, we started having a conversation. And I said, "Y'all know who that was, won't you?" Because, you got to remember now, he had just bought the team. And so they said, "No." I said, "That was Mark Cuban, the new owners of the Dallas Mavericks." They said, "No, not him. He was too cool." I said, "No, that was him." And then later on, you got to remember, we're in a sports bar. They got, 50 TV sets or whatever. And then the news came on, and they showed the press conference that Mark Cuban and I was at earlier today. I said, "See, there he is right there. Same dude." They could not believe how cool he was, so down to earth. And he's still down to earth to this day.
Yeah, he is.
And you know what?
I told you he hired me, didn't he?
Yeah, see, this is what I'm going to say because we got 2 minutes. Dwain was working for the newspaper, and they made changes. And I
got laid off.
Yeah, I got laid off. And I looked at him. And by the way, we didn't even talk. Dwain did radio. He was on there on the Soul 73 KKDA with Roger B. Is that right? And you
Roger B. Brown.
And Tom Bailey.
Yep.
Oh, man, I forgot all about that. But I will say this, that Mark Cuban You tell her what Mark Cuban did for you after that you was laid off from the Star Telegram, Dwayne.
Well, the Star Telegram called me in to come in to the office. They had something to tell me, and I had no idea what it was. And I remember I had to stop in the Walmart, and there was a guy in front of me. He had a T-shirt on his back. On the back of the T-shirt, it said, "God's got my back." So I go to the office, and they tell me I got laid off. So I come home, didn't know what I was going to do. So I emailed Mark Cuban. And you know how email work. You know what time you sent it. You know what time they responded. He responded in 41 minutes. And he said, "I don't have anything for you, but I'm going to create something for you." And at that time, I had spent over half my career covering the Dallas Mavericks. The greatest player in Dallas Mavericks history, Dirk Nowitzki. His jersey number is 41. That's how I know all this stuff is tied to God. And man has nothing to do with this. And the crazy part about that is like 2 or 3 years later, because I kept the email, I was showing it to my son. It was some more words to that sentence. I don't have anything for you, but I'm gonna create something for you. The rest of that sentence was until you find something. And for some reason, I blacked out. I didn't see that part. So until 3 years later, because in other words, he's trying to help me out at the time until I find something later. But in my mind, I had already found something. I'm getting ready to work for the Dallas Mavericks.
All right. Well, on that thought, we're going to stop there and we're going to close out. Folks, we're talking with the Hall of Famer, Dwain Price. Andrea George Carrington is with us today. We got more here on the BGC Sports Network, so stay with us. And man, that was awesome, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's a great story. I mean, you're full. Man, we could do this all night, because you have a lot. You have a lot to tell. I mean, interesting, stuff, and especially with your connection with the Mavericks. It's just a lot of stuff that nobody knows but you.
I've seen some things.
Yeah, you've seen some things.
Hey, by the way, when you was doing that radio show, did y'all record that on Saturdays? It was on Sundays, right?
The one with Roger B. Brown was on Sunday from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a whole lot of interesting stories. And then I also did 2 during the week with the Lincoln basketball coach, Richard Bacon, and with the Fort Worth Dunbar High School basketball coach, Robert Hughes. Yeah, I did shows with them. And I also was a DJ in Beaumont, Texas. I know how to do some spin with all them things. What's that word?
Turntables.
Yeah, on the turntables. Yeah, when you're mixing them up and all that. Yeah, I know how to do that. Do they still do that? Do they all that punch the button electronic stuff?
It's all on computers now.
They lazy, man. Come on, you gotta do it the other way.
They don't care about all that.
Well, we're gonna have to test your skills. I got a turntable now.
You got one? I got one too, right here.
I got
right over there.
Okay, we're gonna put them together and let you do your thing, DJ Price.
Well, scratch up all them records.
What'd you go by, Dwayne?
Huh?
What'd you go by? What name?
Did I have a DJ name? I think I just used my own name. Yeah, I don't remember anything. Yeah, I didn't have anything fancy. Yeah, like some of them do nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah.
DJ Dwain Price.
Yeah, because that's who I am.
That girl that works for the Mavericks, she's a DJ. DJ, what's her, Ivy? Poison Ivy?
Poison Ivy, yeah. She's really, really good. She was at the NBA All-Star game a few years ago. The NBA told her to come in and do the DJ thing there. She is very, very good. Yeah. DJ Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
She's an immigrant too. She's from another country too. I can't remember. Is it Jamaica?
Something like that. Yeah, she has an accent. Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're going to go through this one. This is the last part. We're going to close it out, coming down in 3, 2, and 1. Folks, we are back. We have been having a time. Andrea, is so many things that we're learning about Mr. Dwain Price.
Yes. So good. So good.
He's a DJ. He's done sports on the radio with Robert Hughes. What could you say about Robert Hughes and what he did with the those flying Wildcats at Dunbar?
That man was off the chain. You talking about personality? It was a lot of times it was a hard time getting through the show because he was so funny, cracking jokes and all that. I said, "Come on, Coach Hughes, we only got 15 minutes, man." But he was an amazing coach and all that. Won a lot of titles, a lot of games, and all that. And we all miss him dearly.
Yes, we do. And you think about it, man, Roger B. Brown, too, man. I had a chance to hang out with him, too. And Roger, man, he was a writer, too. Well, how did they do that at the Star Telegram? Because y'all had assignments. What was Roger's assignment, Roger B. Brown?
Well, when I got there, he was covering the Mavericks. That was his assignment. That was it. Yeah, because when I got there, he was already doing the Mavericks, and so they hired me. I was doing high schools in the Arlington Bureau. So I was driving from Dallas to Arlington and covering one of the high schools. I can't even remember which one now because they got like 6 or 7. And then that was a short period of time. And then they had me to cover Snake LaGrange at the University of Texas at Arlington. And then after that, they got me downtown at the main office, and I was a general assignments reporter. In other words, whenever a story comes around, a big story, they're gonna have several stories on it. So I was one of the guys doing the several stories, which was good because I did a little football, basketball, baseball. When the Cowboys home games, they would send 7 reporters out there, and I was one of the 7. But the good thing about it is the other 6 were fighting over who gonna get the best Dallas Cowboy story out of this. And my job was to cover the visiting team, as I had the visiting team locker room by myself, which is really cool because now you get to meet some of the visiting players up close and personal and introduce yourself to them. And I never forget meeting Michael Strahan, who played for the New York Giants. And my wife and I, many years later, went to New York on the Good Morning America set. And we was on the set. I told Strahan, I said, man, I've been in your locker room before. He looked at me. He said, really? I said, yeah, I used to cover the Dallas Cowboys. And then he looked at me side-eye because, the Cowboys and Giants hate each other. He said, I feel sorry for you. Cowboy. So that was funny. But he was a really cool guy, though. He's from Houston. He's a Texan. So he went to TSU and all that, historical black college. So he know the real deal.
Speaking of HBCUs, I mean, what could you say about them? What do they mean to you? Because I know growing down in Silsbee, was that Tech Southern folks or Prairie View? I mean, talk about,
Texas Southern. I got my sister went to Texas Southern. I got a sister-in-law and a niece who went to Prairie View, and my son went to Grambling. My son marched in President Obama's second inauguration. Over 1 million people there. I was there, and it was cold. And they marched there. Yeah, and he marched down there. You see him come down the highway, and then here come Michelle and Barack Obama. I said, there they are right there. I was so proud.
Yeah.
Man, that was a proud
moment. Bet you were.
Hey, yeah, Andrea, let me tell you something about this deal. Now, Dwain, I can tell you this. My first time connecting with the Mavericks was at Reunion Arena, and they would, and I was working at the radio station, and they gave me the slowest night to have a little like a gospel deal. And then the Mavericks started having HBCU night. You know what I mean? And so the game they gave me was the Los Angeles Clippers because that was a hard ticket to sell. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they kept being at the bottom or so, man. But what did you think when we would see the Mavericks come in there? They would bring Grambling Band, Jackson 5, J5, Jack State. So, in February, talk about that because it would be HBCU night, and man, we'd be
able to do it
and having a good time.
Yeah, they still do it, and the schedule is what it is because sometimes, you don't have games in February, home games or whatever. So this year they had to do it late in January.
The Utah game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Was that the one on the 29th? No, that was the 29th. What day was that?
Late January. It was in late January.
Yeah. No, the 29th was Mark Aguirre's retirement jersey night. That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, what college was it this year? I forgot. I can't remember.
Was it Tennessee? Was it Tennessee State or something like that?
Or
yeah, it was an out-of-state team. Out-of-state college. I mean, yeah.
Out of Nashville.
Yeah, and it was real cold. I do remember that because normally they had an after party, right across the street at
I just know that the Utah bench, they didn't go to the locker room because they was shocked at the band, on the court at halftime, and I FaceTimed one of my friends from Utah, and I said, I bet you never seen a halftime like this at Utah, and she was like, don't turn it off. Let me watch it. Let me watch it. But
they stayed and watched the halftime show. The players, Utah players.
yeah, they did. They just stood
Oh,
at they stood at the end of the bench, and they were fascinated with the band being on the court like that. You know, 'cause
yeah.
they've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah,
And
and the fact that I've traveled to all other NBA cities for many, many years, I've never seen it nowhere else either. Nowhere else. So every team has the opportunity to do that. At least
yeah,
they've never done it when I was in town. I just put it that way. I don't know if they do it, but I've never seen it
yeah,
anywhere else but in Dallas. Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Well, we
Yeah.
got to go through this quick. Mark Aguirre. Let's hear a story about Mark Aguirre, man, because you see he brought his family out and his jersey retired, man. What can you say about Mark?
Mark, I was at the, he lives in Chicago now. So I was at in 2020 when Chicago Bulls hosted the All-Star game. So I was there, and then afterward I had to go to this party, and I'm in there, and there's Mark Aguirre's in there. I was like, what? I couldn't get away from him that night. I said, hey man, because he used to live here, obviously, and all that. He used to live in Plano, or Frisco. I mean, I'm sorry. And so we just hung out that night and all that. He's just a really cool down to earth guy. I'm so happy for him because Derek Harper always said Mark Aguirre was misunderstood. Yeah, he's not a perfect guy and all that, but he deserved to be in the hall. Deserved to have that. I'm sorry, deserved to have his jersey retired. And
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the other NBA players, and they said they had assumed that his jersey was already retired because of what he meant to the Mavericks organization. So now he's got it retired. So good for him because he definitely deserved it.
Do you remember
Yeah.
his days at DePaul when he played for Ray Meyer back in the day?
Yeah, that's why I wound up being the number one pick in the draft, overall pick. Yeah, because the Mavericks said it was going to be between Mark Aguirre and Isaiah Thomas. And Dick Mauner said, well, if I'm going to pick one of these guys, I'm going to pick the taller one. So that's why he picked Mark Aguirre. Yeah, he was a baller. He get you on his hip, and it was game light set. It's over because you wasn't going nowhere, and he had that jump shot. He was just off the
Yeah.
chain.
Yeah, amazing. All right, let's talk about another Dallas Maverick, Avery Johnson.
You almost had his voice there.
There, Dwain, how you doing, buddy?
Exactly. Yeah, Avery. I like Avery. Avery came in. Don Nelson gave Avery a great opportunity when Nelly stepped down in the middle of the season. It afforded Avery a chance to show off his coaching skills, and the team did very well the rest of that season. Then they hired Avery full time, and he took him to the NBA Finals, in 2006, and the Mavs were up 2-0, up 13 points with 6.5 minutes to go in the game, getting ready to go up 3-0. And as you know, if you go up 3-0, the series is over because nobody's coming back from that. And some kind of way, Miami came back in game 3 and won that. And actually, they won all the rest of the games.
Man, I was
crazy.
there. Hey,
Yeah.
Andre, let me tell you something. Pat Riley was the coach. Shaq was on that team. And what Pat Riley did, they did a newspaper article. And he pulled that article out, and then he had this little card here deal that he showed him. And he said, look, this is what they're saying about you in Dallas. And when he did that, oh, man, it was over. It was like Dallas messed up. But Avery,
what it was, remember the mayor was planning a parade already.
City
And
of Dallas
announcing that's what it was.
Yeah.
So you
I
fired up
remember
the
that.
other team. Yeah, she fired up the other team. That was Laura Miller, right? Was the mayor at the time? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I said, what are you doing? I mean, they only won 2 games. You got to win 4.
and they was out on the beach partying.
Right.
In South
Yeah.
Beach. You remember
Yeah.
they had them guys that came here, Josh? Marquise Daniel was on that team. You remember that? And Josh Howard.
And Josh Howard, yeah. Yeah, they was on that team. I didn't get a chance. I missed the first 5 games of that series. That's when I got bit by a spider at a hotel in San Antonio. So I was in the hotel in Plano, had 3 surgeries in 9 days. So I only saw game 6 in person.
Wow.
Yeah. And Randy Galloway, which he was at my induction ceremony last night. He gave up his seat so I can sit courtside. When my seat originally was going to be way up high, the NBA had me way up high. So Randy said, "No, you missed these first 5 games. You're gonna sit right here courtside. You deserve this."
Wow.
Wow.
And by the
Yeah.
way, Eddie Sefko, he wrote your article. What could you say about Eddie?
Eddie off the chain. I've been knowing Eddie for 30 some years. He used to work at the Houston Chronicle covering the Rockets, back when they won those back-to-back NBA titles in 1994 and 95. And he and I, when I got laid off in 2017, he got laid off in 2018 from the Dallas Morning News. So now we split up the road trips and all that.
That's
And between the two of us, we've got like 90 years worth of experience. So there's no other NBA team has writers covering that team with the amount of experience that we two have.
all right.
Wow.
Well, Andrea,
That's
close it out.
incredible.
We got 3 minutes. Andrea, close us out.
I just wanted to ask you, what's it like traveling with the Mavericks?
I used to travel on a team plane, but when COVID came, they kicked me off. But the plane was cool because the way I think the plane, like a regular plane, would seat like maybe 230,
Mm-hmm.
240 people. This plane only seats like 60. So there's a lot of leg room and all
Mm-hmm.
that. And a whole lot of food. You get on the plane, and there's a menu in your seat, and you want to order a chicken dinner, a seafood dinner, a steak dinner. What they did, the flight attendants that went to some five-star restaurant in that city, and they have all that already on the plane. So
Oh,
if you want
wow.
it, yeah, it's kind of cool. And then when you get on, they got all this hors d'oeuvres just everywhere, and the overhead bins, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can eat, So food is everywhere. It's no short supply there. So that was kind of cool. And
Yeah.
then and then at the time, you're around them all the time. And I'm the type of guy I don't like to be around them all the time. So it kind of made me uncomfortable for a little bit. But when COVID came, they kicked us off, which was fine with me because I was used to not being on a team plane, doing my
Yeah.
own reservation and all that. But either way, I'm fine with. And we had a situation in Orlando about 2 or 3 years ago when there was a hurricane that shut down the airport in Orlando. So the Mavericks had a game in Orlando. The next day they had a game in Washington D.C. and nobody could fly out of Orlando. And so the Mavericks got on a bus and drove to Tampa, which is an hour and a half away. So they allowed me to get on the bus with them and fly to Tampa and then get on a team plane and fly to Washington, D.C. So that was kind of cool. So they accommodate me a lot, and I really appreciate that.
Wow.
We
Well,
got about
I
a
think
minute and a half. Go ahead, 2 minutes, Andrea.
I think your story and your career and the life that you've lived as a journalist is a story that definitely needs to be told outside of this arena because very impressive, very impressive. And I've enjoyed everything that you had to say. I know you have a lot more. Hopefully, we get a chance to bring it back. But I just want to say thank you for what you've done for journalism and being, congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's awesome. And I'm so glad I got a chance to meet you. I'm glad that we're friends, and I can't wait to see you again at another Mavericks game.
Yeah,
But great job. Congratulations.
yeah, they got. Thank you so much. They got so many road games. I don't know when's the next time they play at home. It's like, is it the? It's oh yeah, it's the Cleveland game this coming Friday. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then they play Cleveland. Then they go to Cleveland and play Cleveland on Sunday. Yeah, it's like a home and away game like that. So,
Yeah.
but I won't be there Friday because we play in Memphis on Thursday. So there's no reason to fly from Memphis back home for one game, which I was not going to attend anyway, because the very next day I was going to Cleveland. So I'm just going straight to Cleveland from Memphis,
Oh, okay.
and then they're in New Orleans on a week from Monday, like a back to back. Then I
Okay.
come home Tuesday and all that.
Well,
But
I'll
it's
see you
cool.
when you get back.
Yeah, it's cool to be in all those cities and go to all these places. A lot of these places I never would have gone to in my whole life. So and I tell people all the time, God put a whole lot of angels down here to look after me and take care of me. And man, them angels did their job, and I am just so truly blessed. Sometimes I just sit back and think about it, and tears come out of my eyes. And I really mean that because I know, like you said earlier, a lot of people are doing jobs that they really don't like, but they got to pay
Right.
the bills. And I'm just having so much fun doing my job. I go to games and I sit on my butt and I watch the games and then I write stories and go home. How difficult
Yeah.
is that? Yeah, that's what I wanted to do since I was in the third grade.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking with Hall of Fame writer, the one and only Dwain Price. Want to say thank you so much. And Andrea, thanks so much to everybody for checking us out here on Sports in the Mix here on the BGC Sports Network. Have a blessed day. All right, I got it. And Dwain, I'll send you the link and it'll be on tomorrow. I'll have it up and everything and we'll send everything.
Okay.
I'm going to stop my recording right now so we can go ahead and do that because this technology is something else.